Hey, it's Dan Zimmerman. Welcome to Illustrate to Educate. Don't forget to subscribe for weekly, objective videos on topics that matter. When you look back at 2020, what will you remember? Obviously, COVID-19 dominated the year and the news as well. But aside from that, let's get right into the top 10 events of 2020 that you might have forgotten. Let's start with number 10. Do you remember when the movie Parasite swept the Oscars? Parasite is a South Korean comedy thriller film directed by Bong Joon-ho. It has been considered by many to be the best film of 2019, grossing over $264 million worldwide. It won 4 awards at the 92nd Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, and Best International Feature Film. Number 9. While we're talking entertainment, how about Netflix's true crime documentary Tiger King? Released on March 20th, 2020, it was watched by 34.3 million people over its first 10 days of release. The series focuses on the interconnected society of big cat conservationists such as Carol Baskin and collectors such as Joe Exotic, whom Baskin accuses of abusing and exploiting wild animals. Now let's go to number 8. Not so long ago, there was a time when there was a shortage of toilet paper, and it became the coveted item across the nation. Due to the issued orders to stay at home during late March and April, many made runs on large amounts of household goods. By April 19th, nearly half of all grocery stores in the US were completely out of stock. On May 30th, SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket launched, carrying the Dragon capsule from Cape Canaveral to the International Space Station. It was the first private company to launch astronauts into space. The astronauts were Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley. The launch represents the first time NASA has launched its own astronauts since the end of the Space Shuttle program nearly a decade ago. Number 6. 2020 was also the year that the NBA adapted to the pandemic by creating the NBA bubble. This was an isolation zone at Walt Disney World designed to protect players from COVID-19 during the final 8 games of the season and through the playoffs. The season ended in October when the LA Lakers defeated the Miami Heat in 6 games. Number 5. One of the biggest events of 2020 was the United States presidential election held on November 3rd. On the Democrat ticket was former Vice President Joe Biden and U.S. Senator from California Kamala Harris. On the Republican ticket was incumbent President Donald Trump and Vice President Mike Pence. Joe Biden defeated Donald Trump in a race to the Electoral College to get 270 votes to win. The election saw the highest voter turnout since 1900, both tickets receiving more than 74 million votes and Biden receiving the most votes of any presidential candidate in U.S. history at 81 million. Number 4. Have you played the game Among Us? This game took over iOS and Android devices in 2020 when it received popularity due to Twitch streamers and YouTubers playing it. This online multiplayer social deduction game was developed and published by game studio Innersloth. The game takes place in a space-themed setting in which players each take one of 2 roles, crewmate or imposter. Number 3. On a sad note, 2020 left us many celebrities who impacted the world in numerous ways. First was Kobe Bryant, former star of the LA Lakers, then Regis Philbin, talk show host. Next was Chadwick Boseman, who played the Marvel superhero Black Panther. Next was Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsberg, a longtime legal champion of gender equality. Then Sean Connery, who was the first star to play James Bond. And lastly was Jeopardy host Alex Trebek. Number 2. 2020 will also be remembered for the civil rights movements. Most of it consisted of protests and riots across many of the major cities in the United States against systematic racism towards black people in the United States, notably in the form of police violence. It is partly facilitated by the nationwide Black Lives Matter movement and was initially triggered by the killing of George Floyd. Last but not least is the development of the COVID-19 vaccine, a marvel of science. 2 vaccines by Pfizer and Moderna were developed with stunning speed and showing remarkable efficacy at roughly 95%. Distribution of these vaccines are taking place in many countries around the world and are helping people return to a life where we can travel without quarantining, where sporting events can be played before a real audience, not cardboard cutouts, and where schools can go back to in-person learning. Did you enjoy this video about the top 10 of 2020? Please like the video, share it, and subscribe to Illustrate to Educate. Comment below on what your top memories of 2020 will be. And of course, don't forget to check out some of my other videos to the right.